I want to talk about a very specific motorcycle today, the Kawasaki Versys X300. A 300cc parallel twin with modest power figures. The motorcycle was never about specs, it was about how it feels to live with. The moment you start the Versys X300, you notice something different immediately. The engine doesn't shout, it doesn't vibrate aggressively, it just settles into smooth rhythm. That parallel twin motor is calm, refined, and surprisingly mature. At cruising speed, it feels effortless. You're not constantly adjusting or fighting the bike, you're just riding it and enjoying it. And that's something many modern motorcycles have forgotten. Touring is not about excitement, touring is about comfort, stability, and trust. The Versys X300 understands that. The seating position of this bike is upright, the ergonomics are relaxed. You can sit for hours without feeling cramped or tired. The suspension is soft enough to absorb bad roads, but stable enough to feel confident on highways. It doesn't try to be sporty, it doesn't pretend to be an adventure monster. It knows exactly what it is, a lightweight twin cylinder touring motorcycle. Now, just let's look at the market today. Almost everything in this segment is a single cylinder, which are powerful, exciting, but also they are heavily vibrate, loud, and sometimes exhausting on long rides. The Versys X300 offers something rare, the refinement. A twin cylinder experience at a relatively accessible price, and that matters more than people realize. So, why isn't this bike more popular? The problem is not the concept or idea of this bike. The problem is that this bike feels stuck in time. Let's talk about some of the outdated features we have in this bike, and we hope that Kawasaki updates it. The halogen headlights in 2026 just doesn't make sense. An all LED setup is not a premium feature anymore, it's basic safety. Better visibility, lower power draw, modern appeal. This update alone would change how the bike looks. Then there are the wheels. The spoke wheels are fine if you're going completely off road, but most Versys X300 riders are touring on tarmac. A tubeless alloy wheel option like the bigger Versys 650 would make life so much easier. No tube puncture anxiety, easy repairs, more confident on longer trips. Then the suspension. It works well. But imagine this bike with a USB fork, better feedback, better control, and instantly a more premium presence. Then there is a question, do we need a TFT display? In my personal opinion, I like analog, but this bike doesn't need to chase trends. Even a well designed LCD would be enough. What matters is not the screen, it's the usability of what provided. Now let's talk about the engine again. Yes, it is old, it's been there like what, more than a decade. Yes, it is not the most powerful, but it is proven, bulletproof, reliable, and still very capable for touring. Not every motorcycle needs to be new from the ground up. Some engines earn the right to stay, and this engine is one among them. The pricing is also kind of makes sense. For a twin cylinder motorcycle, it's reasonable, and in a world where prices are constantly rising, that matters. Here's the bigger picture. The market is saturated with single cylinder bikes. Everyone is chasing the same formula, more power, more aggression, more marketing. But the Versys X300 creates a space that no one else is filling, a calm, refined twin cylinder touring motorcycle for real world riders. Kawasaki doesn't need to reinvent this bike. No more power, no radical design changes. Just thoughtful updates is enough, like the LED lighting, better wheels, minor suspension upgrades. That's it. That will completely change this motorcycle and the experience for the users. Because some motorcycles are built to excite you for the first 5 minutes, others are built to stay with you for years. The Versys X300 belongs to the second category, and I truly hope Kawasaki chooses to keep this bike alive. Because once this space is gone, it may never come back. And there's one other guy who's gonna come in, which is the CF Moto MT450, and the pricing and the availability is another huge question mark for that brand. So for me, currently the only high hopes I have for a twin cylinder lower cc touring motorcycle is the Versys X300. And once again, I hope Kawasaki keeps it alive and gives the update it truly deserves.